Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. So today we're diving into Ray Dalio's principles.
Ooh, principles.
It's a big one, but we like to go deep here, so
Yeah?
you want that practical wisdom, right? Not just another self-help pep talk.
Right.
Dalio's got some really unique insights
He does.
on goals and decision-making and, building a life with meaning.
Yeah.
So buckle up. This is going to be a wild ride.
It is a wild ride. And Dalio's not your typical Wall Street guru. He's a billionaire,
Yeah.
sure. But his company's culture is built on radical transparency.
Yeah.
And this constant drive to learn and improve.
Right. It's not just about making money.
No.
He's trying to crack the code on, personal evolution, too.
Yeah.
Which brings us to his whole take on success.
Yeah.
He kind of flips the script on what most people think. So for Dalio, it's not about the money or the accolades.
It's not about the money or the accolade.
It's about constantly growing and finding that deep satisfaction in your work.
Yeah, in your work and your relationships.
And that really resonates with me because how many times have we chased something external
Oh, yeah.
only to realize it doesn't really fulfill us?
It's so true.
Right.
Yeah, psychologists have been saying this for years.
Exactly.
Extrinsic rewards, they fade quickly, but that intrinsic satisfaction,
Yes.
that's what lasts.
That's the good stuff.
That's the good stuff.
So how do we apply this? Well, Dalio gives us this 5-step process.
Okay.
He calls it a more dynamic and feedback-driven way to achieve your goals.
I like it.
Not your average to-do list.
No, not at all.
Right.
It's all about adapting and learning and refining your approach as you go.
Okay, so step 1 is setting goals.
Okay.
Sounds straightforward enough.
Right.
But Dalio digs deeper here.
He does. He talks about really prioritizing
Yeah.
and recognizing that you can't have it all.
Well, that's hard.
It is hard.
Right.
You have to make tough choices about what truly matters.
Yeah, and this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Because he talks about rejecting good alternatives
Oh, interesting.
to make room for the best ones.
Okay.
So not being greedy, but being really clear about your values.
Yeah.
And letting go of things that don't align with your big picture goals.
I like that.
He even compares it to a buffet.
Oh, fun.
There's so much delicious food, you can't try everything.
Right.
But that's okay.
That's okay.
You savor the choices that really resonate with you.
It's about quality over quantity, right?
Exactly. So think about it. What stands out to you about this idea of rejecting the good for the great?
I think what's so important there is getting really clear on what your values are.
Yes.
Because if you don't know what your values are, how can you possibly make those tough decisions,
That's such a good point.
right?
Okay, so step 2 in his 5-step process.
Okay.
Identifying problems,
Okay.
but not just any problems.
Right?
The big hairy ones we often try to sweep under the rug.
Yes, those ones. Ones we don't want to look at.
Exactly. He says, tolerating problems is no different than ignoring them.
It's true.
Both prevent you from moving forward.
It's so true.
We've all been there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we're afraid to confront the problem or just don't want to admit it exists.
It's uncomfortable. Yeah, it's human nature to avoid discomfort.
Totally.
But Dalio argues that confronting those harsh realities,
Yeah.
that's the only way to find real solutions.
Okay, so how do we actually identify these problems?
That's the question.
He gives some pretty practical advice here.
He does.
He emphasizes digging deep to uncover the root causes,
Yes.
not just addressing the surface level symptoms.
All right, because those are just Band-Aids.
Exactly.
They're not getting to the real issue.
He uses this great example of missing a train.
Oh, yeah.
Like the immediate cause might be not checking the schedule,
Right, you're rushing out the door.
but the root cause could be something deeper,
Exactly.
like disorganization, or maybe you're just habitually running late.
Maybe you need to reevaluate your whole morning routine.
Right, like if you're always missing deadlines, it might not be a time management issue.
Right.
Maybe you're taking on too much or not communicating effectively.
Or you're just afraid to say no.
Oh, that's a big one.
It is.
So once you've identified the problem
okay.
and its root cause,
Right?
then what?
What do we do?
Well, on to step 3,
Right?
designing solutions.
I like it.
This is where Dalio wants us to think like engineers.
Okay. Interesting.
He sees us and our organizations as machines.
Machines. All right, I'm intrigued.
It's all about understanding how the different parts of the machine work together
Okay.
and designing solutions that address the root causes, not just the symptoms.
So we're not just slapping on Band-Aids.
No more Band-Aids.
We're getting in there with a wrench.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
If your car engine is making a weird noise, you don't just ignore it.
No, you don't just crank up the radio.
Exactly. You take it to a mechanic,
Right.
figure out the issue, and design a fix.
Exactly.
And we can apply that same thinking to our own lives.
I like it.
So if you're always stressed and overwhelmed,
Yeah.
maybe the solution isn't just a vacation,
Right.
but like redesigning your workflow
Maybe.
or learning to delegate more effectively.
Yeah, delegating's huge.
Right.
Yeah.
But Dalio doesn't stop there.
Oh, no.
He also talks about choosing the right parts
Okay.
for your machine,
Right.
your people.
Your team.
And his hiring philosophy is pretty radical.
Oh, really? How so?
He says you should hire people you want to share your life with,
Wow.
not just fill a role.
That's a high bar.
It is a high bar,
Yeah.
but it speaks to the importance of shared values and purpose.
Totally.
He's not just looking for skills, but alignment with his core principles,
Yeah.
like truth, excellence, learning.
It's about building a team where everyone's on the same page,
Right.
pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, and pushing each other to be their best.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got our goals,
Okay.
identified our problems,
Yeah.
and designed solutions.
Check.
Now it's time for step 4,
What's that?
execution.
Let's do it.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
Right.
But Dalio warns us,
Uh-oh.
it's not always going to be easy.
I figured as much.
In fact, he says, embrace the pain. It's how you grow.
Embrace the pain.
Oh, right.
That doesn't sound very fun.
It doesn't sound fun, does it?
No.
But he believes that facing challenges and even making mistakes
Yeah.
is essential for learning and progress.
It's true.
Kind of like how lifting weights can be painful,
Yes.
but ultimately makes you stronger.
Gotta feel the burn.
You got to feel the burn to
Oh,
see the results.
Exactly. And he even shares a personal story
Oh,
about learning this lesson as a 12-year-old caddy in the stock market.
no way. What happened?
Yeah. He made some early mistakes
Ah,
that cost him money.
yeah.
But those experiences taught him invaluable lessons about risk and decision-making.
Oh, wow.
Lessons that he carried throughout his career.
That's amazing.
It is.
Turning setbacks into setups for growth.
Exactly.
I love that.
It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, it reminds us that mistakes aren't failures.
Right.
They're learning opportunities.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've set goals,
Yep.
identified problems,
Mhm.
designed solutions, and taken action.
Okay.
What's the final step in Dalio's process?
I'm on the edge of my seat. What's the final
I
step?
know you are. You're ready to take action.
I am.
So step 5 is all about evaluation and reflection.
Okay.
It's about constantly checking your progress,
Yeah.
seeing what's working,
Right.
and adjusting your approach as needed.
Course correction.
It's that feedback loop in action.
I like it.
And this is where Dalio's emphasis on radical transparency comes in.
Right.
But how does that actually work in practice?
That's a good question. Imagine a culture where people are encouraged to openly and honestly share their mistakes.
Ooh, that's tough.
It is tough.
Right.
And their weaknesses.
Most people would rather hide their flaws.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
It's definitely a shift in mindset.
Yeah.
But it creates a much faster and more efficient learning environment.
Okay.
You catch problems early on
Right.
and course correct before they become major setbacks.
Instead of letting them fester,
Exactly.
it's like shining a light on those blind spots so you can address them head on.
Get out the cleaning supplies.
Okay, so we've got Dalio's 5-step process.
All right, let's recap.
Set goals,
Okay.
identify problems,
Yes.
design solutions, do
Okay.
the work,
Do the work.
then evaluate, and reflect.
Reflect.
It's a continuous cycle of improvement.
I like it.
It's not a one-and-done thing.
Right. It's a journey,
It's a journey,
not a destination.
and it takes dedication.
It does.
But Dalio believes it can lead to incredible results,
He does.
both personally and professionally.
Absolutely.
It's not about shortcuts.
No.
It's about putting in the work and embracing the journey.
And speaking of embracing the journey,
Yes.
Dalio also challenges us to question everything,
Everything.
even the opinions of experts.
Whoa, wow.
He's a big advocate for what he calls triangulating your views.
Triangulating. Okay, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
What does he mean?
So he's saying don't blindly trust anyone's opinion,
Okay.
no matter how smart they seem.
Right.
Instead, seek out multiple perspectives from credible sources.
So it's about being discerning, not just accepting information at face value.
Exactly. And it reminds me of another one of his key principles that really resonated with me.
Okay, what's that?
Constantly worrying about what you're missing.
Interesting. What does that look like in practice?
It's about cultivating intellectual humility.
Okay.
Recognizing that we all have blind spots.
Right.
We don't have all the answers.
And that takes courage, right?
It does.
To admit you don't know everything.
Yeah, especially when you've achieved a certain level of success.
Right.
Most people at that level just surround themselves with yes men.
Totally.
But not Dalio.
He's out there seeking the truth.
He wants the hard truths. It does take courage.
Right.
To admit you don't know everything.
Yeah.
It's about being open to being wrong.
Yeah.
To learning from others
Right.
and constantly evolving your understanding.
It's like that saying, trust but verify.
Right.
Only Dalio takes it a step further with this whole triangulation idea.
Yeah, don't just take one person's word for it. No matter how smart they seem.
Exactly.
Seek out those multiple perspectives from credible sources.
So it's gotta be credible.
Yeah. You can't just take anyone's word for it.
Right. It's about being discerning, not just accepting information at face value.
Exactly.
You gotta do your homework.
Yes, you got to think for yourself.
Right.
Which brings us back to that principle of constantly worrying about what you're missing.
Ah, yes. Intellectual humility.
Yes.
It's a powerful concept.
It is.
And something that Dalio really seems to embody.
Oh, yeah. He lives it.
Right.
He's always pushing himself.
Yeah.
And those around him.
Yeah.
To question their assumptions.
Okay.
To admit they don't have all the answers.
And that takes courage, don't you think?
Yeah.
To actively seek out criticism.
It does.
Especially when you're already successful.
Especially when you're already successful.
Right.
Most people at that level just surround themselves with yes men.
Exactly.
Right.
But Dalio's out there seeking the truth.
He wants the hard truths.
He wants to know what he doesn't know.
Absolutely. He wants to uncover those blind spots.
And that's got to be hard.
It is hard. But he believes that true growth, both personally and professionally,
Yeah.
requires that constant feedback loop.
So he's not afraid to make himself uncomfortable.
No.
Yeah.
In fact, he welcomes it.
Right.
He even says, and I quote, "Successful people ask for the criticism of others and consider its merit." It's about using those different viewpoints to refine your understanding,
Okay.
even if it means being proven wrong sometimes.
So it's like he's saying, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes, because that's where the real growth happens.
Because if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing.
Exactly, you're stagnant.
And it all ties back to his core message.
Which is-
Success isn't a destination. It's a journey
Yes,
of continuous learning and improvement.
it's a lifelong process.
So as we kind of wrap up our deep dive into Dalio's principles,
Okay.
what would you say are the most important takeaways for our listeners? What should they really be chewing on?
Well, first and foremost, I think Dalio's definition of success is worth revisiting
Okay.
because it's not about those external markers
Right.
of wealth or status.
It's not about the Lambo.
Not about the Lambo.
Okay.
It's about that internal journey
Yeah.
of learning and contributing something meaningful.
So it's about finding that thing that really lights you up.
Yes, and then figuring out how to use it to make a difference.
I love that. And Dalio doesn't just leave us hanging with a vague definition.
No, he's not about that.
He gives us the tools to achieve that success.
He does. He gives us the 5-step process.
Right. But it's not for the passive observer.
You got to be active.
Right. You have to be engaged.
Yeah, you got to do the work.
You got to make choices.
And be willing to course correct along the way.
Right. Because it's not always going to be a straight line.
It's going to be messy.
Exactly.
There are going to be bumps in the road.
And let's not forget about building the right machine.
Oh, yes, the machine.
With personally and professionally.
So that means surrounding yourself with the right people.
Right. People who challenge you, who share your values, and who push you to be your best self.
And this ties back to his radical approach to hiring.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that.
Looking for people you want to share your life with.
Wow.
Not just colleagues who punch a clock.
It's about building a life with intention, right?
It is.
Surrounding yourself with people who elevate you.
Precisely. And then finally, let's not forget that principle that we keep coming back to.
Which is?
What don't I know?
Ooh.
That should be a guiding principle for all of us.
Well, I love that.
Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. It's in those blind spots, those areas where we lack self-awareness,
Yeah,
that we often find the greatest opportunities for growth.
it's true.
Right.
So I'm curious.
Yeah.
What's one area in your life?
Okay.
Maybe it's your relationships, your finances, your health, your career,
Yeah.
where asking that question, what don't I know, could lead to a breakthrough.
Ooh.
The answers might surprise you.
I like that. That's a good one to sit with.
Yeah, think about that.
This deep dive was just a glimpse into all the wisdom contained within Ray Dalio's principles.
It's a dense book.
It's dense.
Packed with insights.
So we encourage you to explore the book further.
Yeah.
And discover how these principles can help you navigate your own journey.
Yes.
Of success and fulfillment.
Because ultimately, it's about defining what success means for you.
Yes.
And then building a life that aligns with those values.
Beautifully said. And that's a wrap on this deep dive into Ray Dalio's principles.
I love it.
We hope you found it insightful, thought-provoking.
Yeah.
And maybe even a little life-changing.
A little food for thought.
Remember, it's not about memorizing a list of rules, but applying these principles to your own unique journey.
Your own life.
So keep asking questions, keep learning, and keep striving to become the best version of yourself.
The best is yet to come.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.